Good Sunday evening, or late night, uh, August the 2nd, 2026. So my take of the events here lately, sorry I haven't been on, had to get a new phone, my phone got wet, it got damaged. It works, but it doesn't work well, and you always know I had a problem with storage on it, so I got a refurbished phone from Amazon that had more storage on it, and I like it better. I tell you what, it's got all kinds of stuff my other phone didn't have. Um, I like it. I'm glad I got it. It was factory reset, or factory open, so I like it a lot. Beyond that, let's see. I normally do Donald Trump, so let's do Donald Trump. So here recently, I saw one of those photos from Epstein Island that looks like Trump, but isn't Trump. There is distinguished, if you've seen it, there are certain markings on the person that says it's not Trump. Just saying. So that's why I said they need to investigate. I'm not saying the man's innocent. I'm saying that you have to thoroughly investigate. Because, like I said, there were two people who molested me that look like Trump, and both of them went to jail. But they look like Trump. They used his name. And then there was a guy who wore the mask. So there's people that use that as their, use it as an identity to get away with crime. I just turned those notices off for one thing, and now I keep hearing the BDD. I'm sorry. I may have to pause and go turn off the beep beep beeps here. But anyway. So, just saying, they really need to investigate, because it's some screwy stuff. It always has been. I've seen it everywhere. I've seen it in every place I've ever been. I've seen it when I was molested. I've seen it when I was being trafficked. They use their likeness, and you might have 7 or 8 people with the same exact face. Because, like I said, I have people that look like they can be my twin. I mean, got this, had this too, that I got rid of. They had all those markings. That when you visually see me, we look almost a lot alike. We look a lot alike. So, on my diet, I had lost like 20-something pounds. I'm at 32 pounds, I think it is. This past week, I have not been doing well because I lost my food stamps, which I know that doesn't make sense to some people, but I haven't been doing well because I lost those, which means I can't really control my food. I take what I can get. Kind of situation, and it's not exactly the healthiest food. It's not completely unhealthy, but it's not all healthy. So I do the best I can with what I got. And that being said, that's where we're at, and that's how I got in this situation of my weight really isn't dropping that, and I couldn't exercise. I hurt so bad. Right around my liver area, because I told you I had issues with my liver. I'm taking vitamin E, trying to help my liver. Well, the vitamin E is doing good, but I don't know how my liver's doing. I've been to this I moved to this clinic they call it here Whole Life Primary Care. It's supposed to be a good clinic. They do things, and they did catch things other doctors didn't, but unfortunately people are still not taking care of me properly. I need someone to send me to the doctor for my back, and well, basically, they keep saying they sent it to the wrong doctor. I was telling them there was no one in the group. They said, okay, we sent it to him. He's never gotten it. Supposedly, he sent a referral for me to get my hands checked to see if I have carpal tunnel. That referral hadn't gone through. And then at one point, for almost a month, for like 2 weeks after, they said he hadn't signed off on it yet. So I don't know what the deal is, but I will tell you one thing. I know that for a fact that part of this crap is happening because I'm probably one of the most hated people in the state. I mean, I'm not the most hated, but I'm up there on they hate me list. And part of the reason that I'm on the I hate you list is, get this. Because I'm talking about abuse, and I need to put this all out there of my own abuse and what's going on right now, is that basically, someone told me that they wanted me to feel completely unable to control anything in my vicinity around me. They wanted my life to feel completely out of control. And one of the reasons that I realized that they did this, and some of the things that was said, is because some of the people involved in trafficking me and abusing me are here. And I told y'all that if you've watched this. And when I told them this is what happened. Or when they told me this, this is what I realized. A, I knew the traffickers here. B, I knew there were people that hit on me that would do me harm. And C, there's been a lot of power. Let's face it, you know that sometimes there's people getting power in a community that don't need power. But basically, they're trying to break me so that I will be somebody's slave. And whether it's a marriage or anything else, it's slavery. Because if it's unwanted, then it's slavery and forced. And so I got a lot of other stuff going on, and I'm going to give you a little lowdown on that here in just a second, because I was talking about medical. But basically, and then at the end of the day, they were telling me, no, that's not right. Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you, but they just want to be able to abuse you sexually. All these people hate you, even though I was turning down these men, and I was turning down the men in the beginning because I was put out. Anyway. And I hear people talk smack, and I was just a fat girl, and even when I was losing weight, I don't believe a damn thing most of the men that were talking to me say. And after the conversation that I overheard, that I'll get into here in just a second, about my life, the conversation I heard and overheard and everything basically stated that if I wasn't the biggest bully, if I wasn't the biggest, most vicious and dirty acting person that would fucking destroy somebody else, then some of my relationships I wouldn't have. Basically, I had to be the most controlling and the most evil person to them. I mean, they had to believe that I had to have power over other people. So anyway, I was told that slaves are not to be able to control anything. They're not to be able to be treated well. And all it says, they're saying that I did this, this, and this, and blah, 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 and that I'm evil. But in all of it, and everywhere everything goes, I was injured. Crap happened. I don't remember everything. And, I'm sorry that you're angry. That I didn't want the community destroyed. I don't want what people are trying to do. So that being said, I feel like, and I've come to the conclusion that a lot of the narcissistic style abuse that I was getting was to destroy me. I mean, I'm pretty sure my headache I was getting was close to a stroke. I've got problems making decisions now because I have such severe, I've had such severe abuse that, I mean, my face got a color I've never seen anybody who had to survive that type of, or was surviving that type of abuse, and I was getting it from a lot of people. My face flashed scarlet red. I mean, it was so dark red that it's permanent too. I mean, they did a number on my brain. And all in order to either kill me, control me, or rape me. I was told, what was it, about all you're good at, women are telling me you're not even good for prostitute, and then other men are telling me the only thing you're good for is a piece of ass or a prostitute because nobody would want to marry you. You're not good enough. I have heard this from several people, this shit talk from several people. Here I am, I'm trying to improve myself. I was working on my chin, I was doing this, I was doing that, and then it just got to where I've really been trying to get my son to do for himself, learn to pick up behind himself, learn that I'm not going to let him make messes the way he's been making messes, that he has to pick up his toys. I'm not going to do it. And he's not going to be allowed to just leave my house dirty. So then anyway, on top of it, here we're going into the abuse, nobody gives a shit kind of attitude, was I'm on Medicaid, and you know, they feel like they act like the only thing people on Medicaid and on assistance are doing is just trying to take from the government. Well, I kept telling, I had this conversation on a video, it's not on my YouTube, but that I had a lot of medical issues come up. I went to a doctor, and she wound up doing an ultrasound on my stomach to try to find out what was wrong with me. And there were several things they left out, and I told her I had been shot. And she's like, oh, you haven't been shot. We saw all this stuff on the ultrasound. Well, everything I could see on the ultrasound that wasn't deleted, the one picture you can't see, that I did see, and I found out here lately, they ain't gonna let me see shit. Because but anyway, so when I was in there, I saw that one picture. But this is what they told me. You have fatty liver disease, you have your spleen. Is it spleen? This is the one you can live without. I think this is spleen in it. Anyway, it was enlarged. My kidney was enlarged. What else? See, there's another organ. Oh. Anyway, so all that was going on, and then I was in pain, and then so they did these ultrasounds and everything, and I went back to the doctor, and they asked like everything's fine. They said, because they told me at the time, they said that my blood work came back right, and it didn't. It came back saying that I had marrow in my bloodstream, and then I had the ultrasound, and the ultrasound showed all those organs like that. And then I did some research on it, and I found out that the blood work says that I could have pancreatic cancer, which apparently, if I did, was probably because that's why I was sick of my stomach so much, is because my pancreas wasn't digesting, and whatever that pancreatic thing is that they now have medication out for, that's being flashed on the TV, that's been ignored. It wasn't ignored when I was a child, it was ignored as I was growing up, and when I became an adult. Well, anyway, so I found out recently, after doing some research and looking up pancreatic cancer, to see maybe I wouldn't be terminal or anything like that. Well, it basically said the chances are high probability and most likely that if those organs that were swollen, that I am terminally ill, which means they have no prospect of giving me cancer treatment or giving a damn. The only thing that might get me cancer treatment is blood work. My doctor did not do it. My doctor lied to my face and told me I did not have cancer. She said that I was perfectly healthy but fat and needed to lose weight. She got right in my face and told me my only problem in life is that I'm fat. And apparently, and then I heard her as I was walking away telling everybody I was a bad parent. I have a child that ignores people and acts like he doesn't know anything and that you never said anything. I have a child that will play other people for stupid. I have a child smart enough to be a pain in the hind end. And it could be that he's narcissistic like his father, and it's all just him being narcissistic. I have not figured that out yet, but I'm starting to think he's narcissistic because of the little crap he pulls. Anyway, so people are like, you're a horrible parent. So some of the people that call me a horrible parent because I raised my voice at him, and she really screwed up because is that it's basically said when I realized she did not give me my diagnosis because I raised my voice at my child and I spanked my autistic child's butt. This was her reasoning for killing me. And I no other doctor since her, even the one I sent in the blood work, the one I'm at now, have diagnosed me because I am not a good mother. That I do not deserve a child. And every one of the people ahead of this, and everybody controlling all this, at the end of the day, is either probably Islamist or Muslim, and did not grow up in this country and hate Americans on top of it. So that's just joy. I'm playing with the clothespin. So that's just complete joy, right? Makes you happy. Not. So now I can't stand into these doctor's offices. Because this Valishka Valerie that was in McKinney decided that she did not like my parenting, that I was mentally ill or on drugs. They went through my bag to see if I was on drugs. Because all they wanted to do was take him from me. I doubt he'd get a new home. They would make sure he died. Because they don't like autistic people most of the time in the fucking first place around this. I mean, that's why all the autistic kids that are a little bit slower are sitting there, so many of them in fucking trafficking. And then they gripe about the kids that aren't autistic that are in trafficking, but they don't give a damn about the other kids, because it's better to be autistic people that are useless and have no freaking ability to do anything and don't impact this planet. Because their kids are perfect and more special instead of finding a way to fight. It's so bad. From what a lot of people that I've ran into and the circle that we tried to escape have told me, have said, I'd rather be a disabled child than my child. It's not like a retarded autistic person really knows what the hell's going on. They're retarded anyway. It does not have a mental or emotional impact on them. They can't think. They cannot do anything in business. They are not good enough to have value. And then because you look like somebody that was the child of a slave owner, family member, like their great autistic poor baby didn't know what was going on, kind of slow. That poor baby was abused and murdered, most likely murdered. And then there are people who are black that went after everybody, and they kept killing people that look like them. They kept killing people that look like them, and they called it vengeance for slavery. So then recently there's been this big old 250 anniversary of, of independence or whatever. So that means 250 years ago is the first time that the people within this country actually had control of this country. Isn't that what that 250th means? So, during that 250 years, how long were there actual slaves in this country? And why are you taking out on everybody in this country when the way you do? Because it says 250 years ago was the first time that the old reign and the old system and the old belief that slaves were okay and people should own slaves, which are still in this world, and the impact of the people treating me the way they are because they still believe in making their money off of other people, whether it be their body or their property or whatever they can get their hands on. And I am so sorry for that dinging. Next time I will turn off all notifications. So, it's just a whole fact that all that's going on. But anyway, so I get the butt end of it. So I'm hated for multiple reasons, and most of them are extremely out of my control and have actually nothing to do with me as a human being, but rather than their preconceived notions of a bunch of other crap that only has anything to do with me because I'm autistic, which they dislike me for that. And the fact that I have an opinion, they dislike me for that. Oh, and the fact that I was an abuse survivor. I mean, I got shot, for God's sakes, and when I survived the gunshot, that made me crap in this planet because their friends should have survived. They're not mad at the people who did it because they're scared of the people who did it, and they can't take it out on the people who did it in most cases, so they're going to take it out on me. Joy, what fun. How unfair it is that I lived and they didn't. Well, you know how unfair it is that somebody who murdered people in another country and escaped and got diplomatic immunity for their behavior and then got a doctor and hasn't happened to have a nurse practitioner license, because on Medicaid you don't see doctors. You never see a doctor except for the fact I have cancer, and only a doctor can tell me I have cancer, and I have to speak to them and only them about the cancer. But the most likely would be like, oh, well, you probably have, they maybe would have told me 6 months or something like that to live. I mean, they have no idea. Terminal means deadly. Terminal means death. Did they help me? Did they treat me? No. My symptoms subsided a lot, but not completely, and I still haven't been treated. So I kept complaining about my stomach hurting. Well, they did an ultrasound on my ovaries and on my uterus and trying to figure out why I'm hurting. And I was like, it's low. I told them it's lower down, and they said, well, it still might be the kidneys. They need to check your kidneys. Okay, lo and behold, that's what I thought it was. But they told me no ovaries. So we went and we checked the ovaries. Now, they got in my face and told me there's no, my ovaries in perfect condition, blah, blah, blah. First of all, I know you're full of shit. Ovaries don't grow back. I lost part of my ovary when I was shot. And my ovaries are smaller than and my ovary on one side is smaller than the other because part of it's missing. So, I know you're full of shit. And then on the original ultrasound, I know they're full of shit because the back of my liver actually shows damage, and it's got little strings on it floating like this. But I only saw the back of my liver, which looked fine except for the little floaty thingies doing this. That's probably where I got shot, because I got shot through the chest. I have scars. I can show you the scars. I'm not going to do it today, but I will do it soon, because I don't feel like it today, because I got a lot of things to say today, and this is going to be probably a pretty long video. So anyway, so I was crying, I was upset, and I tried to do the video yesterday, but I was crying too much, and I decided I didn't want to look like a weeping. I didn't want to look pathetically weeping, because I just didn't think that's a good video to send out on YouTube. Just saying. So I waited till I could get myself together. Just yesterday it all came crashing at me, because along with the system that helps me is the whole fact that with mental health, because it's the only place I can go to get my medicines for my, let me list my issues here. I have borderline personality disorder, which can be caused by trauma, just so you know. I don't have all the symptoms of borderline personality disorder. I try to quit, let my mind run around with childish paranoia, and all of a sudden I become, a lot of my symptoms subside. I have trouble calming down when that. Anyway, so then after borderline personality disorder, I have ADHD, family inherited. I have autism. I have PTSD. I have survivor syndrome, which I have to get over the fact, because a lot of times my brain will tell me, why did I survive? I'm not good enough. They should have survived. Survivor syndrome can be survivor guilt, but there's a lot more to it. You can look it up if you want to know more. But I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I was actually in a war zone. I actually had a hand grenade go off next to me. I've stepped on landmines. Thankfully, they buried them too deep. And I just got broken bones instead of freaking ripped apart. So I've had a very traumatic life. But you know, my doctors don't even have the decency and the humanity to tell me, and cannot bring themselves to be civil long enough to somebody they see as nothing but a slave that is unworthy to be in their presence, that I should probably get down and lick the bottom of their shoe, because that's the type of person they apparently tend to be. At least that woman did. So I have a lot of dislike. If I could, I'd go after every one of them's medical license, because if you're not going to treat... This is the way I look at it. I worked in a thing. I very rarely had somebody else wait on somebody or refuse to wait on them. I waited on people who have wished me dead and attacked me. I have been very polite. I have been very cordial. I've tried to do everything correctly and be civil. Tried really hard to be civil with them, because I have a job and they have a need. I'm not trying to let them drive off and have no gas. I'm not trying to make them have to go to another store to go to the restroom. And then from the place I worked, you did not have to buy something to use the restroom. It was a matter of respect. People have to use the restroom. Sometimes when they're out, and sometimes they can't get home fast enough to go. So, you know, whatever you need to do in that bathroom, as long as you're respectful and don't make it nasty. And even then, sometimes, you know, I don't get mad about it, as long as it's not, you know, it's just a thing. Unfortunately, some people are that way, but as long as it's not, you don't get it nasty. I have no qualms with you using a restroom, because I understand what it's like to have to go to the bathroom and not be at home. So, you know, all I know is when it comes to work, I try to be civil. I try to be an honorable person, diligent, and all these words I can't think of right now, because there's one I want to say and I can't think of it. But I try to be all those things at work, which means I vote people that I could, some people I probably wish death upon at one point. We dislike each other that much. But you know what? I was civil. Because I wanted to keep a job, and I understand that sometimes you have to deal with people you don't like. If I was a doctor, I would tell them. Even if they didn't like me, I would still tell them. But their little vengeful attitudes, they don't deserve a damn medical license. They don't need one if you can't accurately and take care of someone. So I can get into that, and I will get into more of that at a later date. We will talk. Because I have before. I deleted some of my old videos off because I was too emotional, and I don't want to be too emotional, because I feel like people don't listen to people who are too emotional. So, you know, I haven't heard anything else about the pizza and grape soda, since I keep repeating the fact that pizza and grape soda is what they served at parties. And yes, some of the kids died. Some of them got eaten. But they were served at parties. I know, because I loved grape soda back then. I couldn't have strawberry. Most of us couldn't. And you can't have, you really can't have orange because of yellow dye. Blue dye is not good, but the effects of the other two dyes on my ADHD, ain't nobody giving them to me. So I got grape soda. Just saying. So it was my favorite soda, that, and it was non-caffeine. So since that came out, you know, since the grape soda, I kept saying that and kept saying that and kept saying that and wondering what the government was up to by saying that it was code for molestation. It's code for a lot of things if you want to get deep at it. But normally it's a birthday party, or at least every one I had been to was a birthday party. The birthday girl brought people along. Okay. Not every time did they understand what was going on. But I will say that there were girls that were birthday party or their party, whatever, whether it be their birthday party or not, were to choose girls. You know, the ones that were actually involved in it would choose girls they didn't like to die. To be molested or die. Mostly it's a death party. I mean, if I get a little bit more in detail, some kids did get molested. Sometimes it was a molestation. It just depended on, maybe they rolled the dice to decide. I don't know. But it was, but to my memory, it was a death party. And there you go about truth. Now, whether you believe me or not, that's completely up to you. I don't care if you call me a stark raving lunatic, but I know what I know. I was there. I was abused. I was mistreated. I know a lot of things that other people don't know. Unfortunately, you know. And then, when they were talking about girls dying at the ranch, just now, I had a memory while I was talking about the other. Epstein killed some of the girls who had his children who wanted him to have nothing to do with them, that wanted to escape Epstein. He would kill the biological mothers and give them to someone else to raise. I do believe, you know, it was kind of pedophiles stay with pedophiles. It maybe he wanted them to have a higher IQ than the girls. I mean, don't get me wrong, he picked those girls for a reason, but I think to a certain extent they would get tired. He would get tired of them because he don't want him losing their kids. Would stand up for their children, I'm assuming, because I've seen one of the girls that had a child with him. I think she was about 16, 17 years old. Hit him in the head, so that could have sent him into one of his little rages and decided she should die and the child should be raised by someone else. Some of the girls were probably moved into a certain class in God knows what country in order to raise his intelligent child, because as he is a self-proclaimed genius and he is pretty smart, don't get me wrong, I knew about the library, the closed doors. I know that he wasn't worshiping somebody outside those closed doors. All the stuff they saw outside had nothing to do with that. The stuff he did outside was clearly and commonly used too. He found something that stated that when you want to focus and retain information and be able to use it in a creative way, there is actually things you can do to do that physically. It's a brain workout. It's not just what you see there. It goes further than that. But that's part of it. When you go into the library, you pick out a book, and when you pick out that book, you're supposed to be able to retain the information, and you're supposed to be able to use the information in a more... You're supposed to be able to apply the information to your life. So, it's just the fact that people were talking about certain things they didn't know. There's a lot of things they know I apparently don't know, because I was pretty sure that original Beyonce and them just kind of party crashed. That's also how she stole stuff from me, Beyonce. That's how Britney stole stuff from me. I mean, I used to make my own clothes. I made, it's kind of looks like a bra, but it's one of those tops that goes on similar to a bra. And I made it myself. I did use a bra to help me make it, but I made it myself. And, anyway, Britney hit me and took it. Brittany's put me at gunpoint for it. I mean, I had the privilege of having Brittany, I believe it was Brittany, put the hole right here in my head that went in here and blew out here. So, I am not a friend of a lot of people in Hollywood because I am not the only person who's ever been treated badly by society and injured because nobody likes a weak, stupid victim, because only stupid, weak, ignorant people, whatever all that is, and their displeasure because how being around you makes them feel, because instead of dealing with emotions and mental issues, especially emotions, and trying to work through what they're feeling and realizing it's the act that have happened to you and the abuse that happened to you that they dislike, they decide to dislike you. Because somewhere they decided that the problem was you instead of their brain processing, instead of them needing help processing to deal with it, they hate you. So don't even get me started. Because I don't like Katy Perry. I hope her career crashes, and I hope the woman gets thrown in jail for the things I've seen her do over the years. Because I'm pretty sure Miss Katy Perry's daddy, Mr. Perry, the pastor, is also Predator Perry. And she's not much better. And she does not respect people. She does not have a good attitude. She is the opposite of everything I think somebody who's compassionate, supposedly compassionate and awesome is supposed to be. Because, telling them skip your rent and come to my concert. That's the first time I turned off Katy Perry. The first time I heard that song, I do not listen to Katy Perry anymore. If I do, it's just because her songs were actually written by a disabled person I knew that she stole from. There you go. Not to mention everybody's worried about Marilyn Manson all of a sudden, and I'm like, y'all worried about him raping somebody. I was like, I'm worried about the victim and him eating people. So I had my rib cage broken. I did not lose my ribs like he did, but I had my rib cage broken by somebody else stronger than me to get vengeance against me because I kicked him. I broke his rib cage when we were little. He attacked me. He tried to do harm to me. I was in a field. I don't even know where the hell I was. I was running for my life. I just ran, and I wound up in a field trying to run away. And he and I had a confrontation that I did not want because I couldn't get any further. And I wind up hitting and kicking until his ribs busted. I broke his ribs. He didn't have them surgically removed for giggles. He didn't have them surgically removed for this, that, or the other. It's not sexual. I broke his ribs. So you can worry about all the other stuff. I'm worried about him eating people, okay? I do not feel like being best of buds. Now, moving forward on that conversation, let's keep going to the things in the world. Might as well be the things in the world that irritate me. So, the Guthries are still looking, Savannah Guthrie is still looking for her mother. The man said Miss Guthrie's dead. She wants the body. Okay, I'm just going to go out on a limb here. They asked you for money. They didn't get the money, and they probably weren't ever going to give you her. Her mother was probably dead within 20 to 72 hours. Probably. That's my guess. Because the first things I think is he raped her and ate her. That's my guess. He raped her and ate her. There you go. There's my opinion on that. I just have a red flag on it that says he probably raped her and ate her. Because I definitely get the vibe of I met him before as a rapist, and where I was, there was also people who did more than rape. So I'm going to go with, he probably ate her. You're probably not going to get a body. And if you do find a body, I'll be shocked. But I will say, if you do find a body, I'm going to expect extreme contusions. I'm going to assume that he beat her to a bloody pulp. I'm going to assume she died from so much blunt force trauma her body gave out. So those are the options you got there. It's either going to be extreme trauma, and she died from her wounds because her body was just had so many issues, including her head, or it's going to be he ate her. So, but if he ate her, he still beat her in the head. I'm a psychic, so you get what you get. I mean, that's what I think I read. I read her being hit. Whether or not that's what killed her, I keep reading her being hit, but I couldn't really read where she was, or I'd already told people where she was. So, there you go. Other things in the news that irritate me. Oh, did I say anything about CNN and their poll? Yeah, they had a poll saying what Americans really think of Donald Trump. It was very devastating. It's not that devastating. Trump's people don't watch CNN. Trump's people don't care. Stand away from CNN. That was something that was said in the first presidency. So common sense is you didn't get Trump's people's opinion. You got everybody else's opinion. So here's what I say. Nobody cares what you say, because it's a slanted vote at the end of the day. You can't just put something up on a website and assume everybody's going to see it, because they don't. You have a certain amount of people, and you probably lie about some of that. But anyway, I'm going with the knowledge, this knowledge that people who voted for Trump, majority of them don't like CNN. So you're not getting a real opinion of America. You're getting an opinion of their viewership. So I don't think the poll amounts to anything. As far as the war with Iran, we have had problems with them forever and a day. We keep coming back to the same problems, and this is not just America. This is every country that has to deal with them. Keep coming back to the same problems. And, I was raped in that country. I am glad to be out of it. I was held by Islamists. I've been held by, I was sold to Muslims, Islamists. I was sold to some group in freaking Africa. I mean, I was forced to walk. I want to say it was from England, where we were originally held. I want to say it was England, all the way to Africa. It didn't happen in a day or two, but they forced us to walk. Most of it during the daylight. What happened, I want to say we were west. No. East. I'm sorry, I said west. East. We were east of most everything. Because my sense my sense was, and I was pretty injured. My sense was that we were walking to the east of of Iran and stuff like that. We were just east in areas that weren't heavily populated, kind of like wooded areas, you want to say undisturbed areas for the most part. And I mean, that's even where they find a lot of the huts and stuff they made is, I believe, in like ranch areas, things that aren't heavily populated, more quiet. So, and then sometimes they'd walk you right down the middle of the street because, sometimes you're in certain areas, they don't, depends on who's in control of how you walk and where you go. But, I kept telling everybody, they give you the people they don't really have to keep or they don't care to keep. They give them people. They give them both their employees and children. Or at least they did back then, but then they keep people. They really just keep them. They don't let them go. They hold them as long as they can. You either have to escape, and it's really scary because there's girls that have been missing for years, and it's like as the dates tick by and you haven't found the body, you don't have a reason to believe they're dead, and you believe it might be trafficking or something like that. Days tick by, and a lot of them, they start dying at between 14 and 18 years old because they don't want baby mamas. They want girls who are terrified and will do what they say and have no backbone. The older you get, sometimes the braver you get. Your hormones start changing, your attitude starts changing. And they don't want those girls. They don't want the fight back. They don't want the, I'm old enough now, let me go. Or, you don't want to touch me, let me leave. Well, they're not going to let you leave because you know too much information. They kill you. So, it's a difficult journey. And it wasn't fun. And I'm not the only one who took it. But, you know, there's a lot of disturbing things out there that disturb me and depress me. One of those things that depressed me is a sexual assault victim, gang rapes, can't go on living because life isn't worth living because she was gang raped. Okay, now I'm autistic and injured apparently. I don't know if it's because I was slow and they felt like they can control me, or they don't really care. They just like to tear people apart. I don't know. Anyway. So moving from that, I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I saw in the news that I want to talk about? Well, I haven't heard a lot about global warming here lately, but somebody had brought up global warming and the impacts of global warming, and I'm like, and I put this out on my Facebook. I had it on my YouTube, but I took it down. Like I said, I don't like being extremely emotional and yelling or whatever, or raising my voice, freaking out. But, so, I don't remember where it is, but you can look it up. There's gas pockets, and the gas coming out from the ocean floor is heating the water. The ring of fire is extremely active and heating up the water. Russia had a couple of slabs that have overheated, that were nuclear subs, that have melted down, that have heated up the ocean. SeaWorld and stuff, all these great people helping save these animals have gotten so many warm-blooded, blubbery little things out there now. They're warming up the ocean. Okay, maybe they're not warming up the ocean as much as everything else is, but it's not. I'm not saying man doesn't have any impact on the fact it's heating up. What I'm saying is mankind is not at fault for the heating it up. And not only are people not guilty of heating it up, and I don't want anybody that went to SeaWorld thinking, oh, well, I'm a horrible human being, but them doctors and stuff and the people at SeaWorld that are saving those animals, and those are ambassadors for the animals, they're so full of baloney. All these zoos, they go and take polar ice caps, ice from the polar ice caps, okay? And, everything. And then they put out these staggering results. Well, so many thousand cubic, okay, so they took out part of the ice and then extra ice melted off. But they claim that has nothing to do with the other, but it seems like it does. And I'm going to go with it does. And I'm going to blame all those people who, with no thought of the future, nor care for human beings or care for animals, who are now losing their habitat because of their decisions, because of these people who are ambassadors for these animals, decided that having the ice for animals in captivities to be ambassadors was more important than having the ice for the planets, the animals in the wild. Now, I'm just going to lay it down, and you can take it as you want to, but I'm going to give you the full thing of what happened and what my family and our friends did when I was a child to help slow down the melting of the ice and everything. So, and I'm going to write this down as we go, because I have ADHD, I forget stuff. So, number one and foremost that me and my family did when I was young, we went to the ocean. I don't remember every detail of it because I was a child and I've been injured. I've actually been shot in the head. It was made to look like a suicide, but I was shot in the head. I actually have 2 of them. They put it under my chin at different times and blew my brains out, okay? How I'm alive? Don't know. Okay, but I'm alive. And because I'm alive, I'm going to tell a story of everything they didn't want me to tell you. Everything they want me to keep my mouth shut about. Everything they don't want, the people that they try to de-educate in order to control and to break, are not supposed to know. I'm going to tell you today. Part of it. My family and friends went to the ocean. We collected enough water, and we may have, I don't remember exactly our containers we used, but we got ocean water because we would not return tap water into the ocean. We would not do that, so we went to the ocean. We collected water. We got permission from a local area to collect water. We took X amount of water. We put them in freezers. We froze the water. Now, the freezing process, I don't remember. I mean, we may have just used regular freezers and just had to wait a long time, maybe even years, for it to completely freeze, or freeze enough. And then we dumped the stuff out back into the ocean. Yes, I said back into the ocean. We dumped it back into the ocean. We dumped it into the ocean in areas that were considered hot spots, in order to cool down the hot spots. Who could do this and do this in a way that is, and do it in normally in abundance as much as actually needed instead of a handful of people doing it? Well, let's see. Now, why people think this is crazy, this is what we did that helped the environment. Take it or leave it, this is what we did. So, freezing the water. Freezing seawater. Oh, darn, my battery's still on. So, give me just a second. This is a village time that this video is being done. I'm not doing a whole lot of stuff to it. Give me a second to plug it in. Just to be able to use it without an issue to plug it in. Okay. So we froze seawater. Dumped it in hot spots. Ooh. I'll fix it. Hold on. We dumped it in hot spots. Whether it was my biological family, my step family, or just people that were taking care of me that weren't pedophiles, this is what we did when I wasn't being abused, okay? Just make that clear. Number 3. This one gets really good if you're listening. We took those plastic containers. You know what I'm talking about, right? The plastic containers? The large ones. Back then, I think there were some square ones. We took those containers, which sometimes we used horse troughs. They're kind of expensive. But we went actually to the pole. Yes, we went to places where it freezes. And we were checking to see how well things would freeze. I think we just used outdoor to freeze it, but we took water from areas where it was actually, and we had to be careful because the ice can break on you. But sometimes we would just drill down a little bit on the edge of ice, which I know can be a little in itself dangerous. But don't worry, we made sure it was filled. The hole was probably filled back up with a piece of ice that we took from the other spot. Anyway, we knew what we were doing. We did this, and we thought it through, and we did well on it, okay? We took this ice from the water from the ocean. We took the ice. Okay, originally we took a part of the ice from the tip of the ice patches up north, which we went south to. But we took those up. But then we started freezing water. We used air current charts. You listen to the air current charts. Okay? Listen carefully. We took those air current charts. See, the sun hits that, and because it's been so sunny and stuff, and it's getting a lot more sun than it normally got, we took those air current charts. We used them to predict, okay? Predict froze water. Actually, that should be 3. So we froze this water using, we probably may have not gone to, we probably didn't go to where the air current was, if that area is getting a lot of, if it's heating up and it's causing a lot of damage to that area. So we don't go there. What we did to freeze it, we went to the coldest spot we could find to freeze it. If it took a couple days, whatever. We stayed in our whatever hut or everything, or whatever it was there, and we stayed warm until it was frozen and it was time to go. So we took that. We used the equipment we had there, and lovely enough, we moved it into the air currents. We would dump several containers worth of ice there. We did this every year. We did this to different areas. So the ice that we made was cooling off the air that went through there, keeping from defrosting the ice. Because there are areas where literally the air current hits the actual ground and then blows off. So we just dumped all of our ice there, so it's not touching the actual ground, it's only touching our ice. And not only is it touching our ice, but hopefully our ice is cooling it off. Because it's frozen it's frozen colder than the area was that we were going to. And then we go back and we put more, and we did this several times. We probably left containers there and came back. I can't remember all the stories. Like I said, I was injured. So anyway, this is something we did when I was younger to help the environment. So then, there was a lot of people that decided they were working jobs that didn't force them to use hairspray. They just had to have decent hair. Some of them, you know, if you're working factory and stuff, your hair's up, they don't care. So they tried to avoid hairspray as much as possible. I'm talking about people, you know, your can of hairspray expires, but people who sometimes stew out half a can or more by the time it expires, which I think is 3 years almost on some of that hairspray. Some of it's 4. I've actually seen some that are good for 6 years. But either way, they slowed down on their hairspray usage. Some have even stopped using hairspray. This is people who were poor and didn't have a lot of jobs that would impact. Hairspray did not really impact their lifestyle. The lack of it wasn't going to destroy their careers. So, you know, they didn't have to have the perfect hair. They didn't have to do this. You know, they just didn't wear the hairspray. You know, right now I'm not wearing hairspray. I don't really do hairspray very often myself, so I know exactly. So, you know, and part of it was because they told us, you know, it's like I wish I could do something for the environment, and it was like, give up your hairspray if you can. You know, and like most of the commercials say, make sure to try to turn your water off. Every now and then I'll walk away and I might forget and leave water on, but most of the time, even my forgetful self turns off the water in between use. I don't, like I'm brushing my teeth, I don't sit there with the water running. I turn the water off, I brush my teeth, and I use what water I need to clean my brush and rinse my mouth, and I'm done. I do not sit there with the water running. Because if I'm spitting in that in the sink, it does not dry to the sink. It will come off when you turn more water on. You don't have to drain it the entire time. Just let you know. Okay? So, gave up hairspray. Used water less. Here's the fun one. I myself have created natural filters. I found one somewhere and I found out that it cleans and it actually cleans some of the bacteria, some of the smog and stuff in the air. Though while this place is kind of secluded, I found out about this natural filter and actually created one here in the United States. I don't know if it's still standing because it was on property that might have been sold, but at the time it was private property that wasn't going to be sold, and I put the natural, and I was able to create a natural air filter. I can't remember exactly everything about it, but I did. So I made a natural air filter. Which all these scientists that are complaining about the environment and thinking that the poor man won't do anything or is too arrogant or doesn't care. I don't know about today's if there's enough to care, because they're probably, I mean, the way they're killing pedophiles, they probably is, but I still have these reservations because of my abuse, so don't take it personal. To those that are, just don't take it personal. Anyway. So, I, being me, something I did on my own, and I talked to people. I did not get government assistance, because when I tried to get the government to back me, they wouldn't do it. I had a lot of people complain. They didn't want to work with me. It takes time. So you know how factories put out a lot of smog. Okay? And they come out these vents and stuff. All this stuff is going up to the environment. I worked on trying to make a filter to catch that. Now I've decided you can't actually put a filter on the stacks, but I did have something you might be able to do with it. I have several ideas now, but I don't have, at the time, the money, the energy, or anything else to do it. But it doesn't say I won't try. And it doesn't say that I won't find somebody, try to, at some point, maybe find somebody to help me. But is to clear the air, or make the air that's coming out cleaner, without pushing it back into the machine and turning off the machines, or destroying the machines, or pushing it back in, and then please getting more dirty air. And then my other thing was, with that, so filter, I'm going to say for smokestacks, okay? Of course, my other thing was we actually built a filter, and I should say we were able to create a system to take most of the carbon monoxide out of chimneys. It's no longer, I don't think anybody's using one, but so chimney filters, made those. So everybody talks about, one of the things when we talk about the environment was everybody wants to get off the grid and quit using fossil fuels. First of all, it's called fossil fuels because as things break down, they create that. The tar pits exist because it used to be an oil pit. Or at least that's my understanding of it. So we still have to do something with it, but I would like a day when it's just burned off. And when it's burned off, it's just filtered. And so I used to think, and when I was thinking about my filters, I was like, well, if I make a filter, I'm going to have to make a filter like this, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. Well, I've decided, you know how you get those filters for your air conditioner? Well, mine, I've been thinking about it, and I figured out I can make a completely disposable filter. Okay, they're like, well, what are you going to do with all the waste inside of it? Well, my thing is, you burn the filter. Because if you're burning stuff in an incinerator that has its own filter, then you just constantly just burn them off. And it's constantly catching the bacteria. When you're burning them off, you're also burning off part of that smog. Part of all the stuff in it. You're getting mostly carbon. You will get some of the other stuff that reburns and goes into the middle filter, but you just keep burning it. So that was my other thing. Disposable filters. I'm pretty sure I figured it out because I thought about an online filter, but they said, what are you going to do with the when you clean it, what are you going to do with the water that comes off of it? So now I'm like, I don't want an ion filter. I have a better idea. And then, so speaking of wind currents, and I've done this, I did this in a couple cities. If you were like in certain parts of Chicago, New York, and stuff like that, and you saw what looked like a piece of wool, I think it was about the size of, I can't remember if it was a twin bed or a full-size bed, but it was a good size. If you saw it hanging in the air, that's one of my air filters. And believe it or not, that air filter being put in an air current where it was, so my filter being put where it was, it says it cut, and they had me retry this in different areas. We were able to cut the pollution within the city by more than 20%. So anybody who saw those, that's what they were filters, and yes, it did actually bring down the pollution level and made better quality of air. So there is a way to filter using using regular currents, air currents. Help the environment. Most people don't care because, you know, they don't want the alpha meanies that attack the world and everything. They don't want them to have clean air. But for those who still have hope and are still fighting and are strong enough to fight, here you go. So filters. You don't have to use that type of filter. It was just a test, okay? I'm going to try to make one of my filters that I've decided is a good idea. It's not going to be perfect. I'm going to say because of the type of filter it is, it's not going to be like 90% or something like that. It's going to be about 80%, maybe 75%. I mean, it could be as low as 60%. I don't know until I put it into action, okay? Unless I make one and I put it into action, I don't know. But I know it's going to be, well, people might call it a Band-Aid. It's going to be a damn good Band-Aid because nothing else seems to be helping. So my other thing, and like I said, one of my things is people I feel like companies, like, you know, plastics companies and stuff like that, their employees should have an air filter, an air filtration system. I don't know how well they're going to work, but their air should be filtered through an air filter. We can get them for our homes, you can get them for your business, but if you're in one of those environments, you should definitely have an air filter. It doesn't just help the people, it also helps the environment. And it should reduce your risk of cancer. So these companies making stuff like bottles and other things, I think it should be mandatory. Me personally, I think it should be mandatory that you care for your employees enough to put a filter in it, and a filtration system within your company large enough to give them a decent quality of air. I know it's not going to be perfect, but what I'm saying is you're also, every time that door opens and that air is let out, you're not putting as much junk into the environment. What is that right there? Did I get a streak or something? Or is that just my face? Anyway, so that's my deal. I think that they should do that. Then my other thing was things you can do for the environment. Things that the government should have done instead of paying millions and millions to be told something we already know, that pollution is destroying the planet, okay? We already know pollution is destroying the planet. We all know it. You're looking for doomsday and the end of the world. We're looking for solutions to prevent it. Stop giving us the problem and start coming up with the solutions. So here's my other one, if you haven't heard it before. So along with filtration systems, there are plants, and you can look it up, plants that actually remove, and I've planted them before around businesses I worked at. My bosses let me when I told them. Plants that remove pollution. This is something else those companies that have all that pollution coming out of their systems can use to help reduce it. I think what I've been told is they're good for about a year, and then you have to, they're good for about a year, and then you have to, They're good for about a year, and then you have to replant them because they die. But they suck up as much pollution. They suck up a lot of the pollution around them. So that's something that you would definitely, or I feel like would definitely be a point of, hey, this is good, this is great, let's do it. I mean, this is something schools can do when they do those projects. And then, along with that, there's also things where you can literally, so everybody plants trees, and trees are supposedly the most oxygenating plant. They're not the most oxygenating. That's the other thing. I don't know if you can plant these plants together, but you can plant them with the vicinity of each other. Plants that produce, and some of them in some countries you can't do this, so you get the one that's best in your country if you're in another country and you're trying this at home, that produce the highest amounts of oxygen. So this is me letting you in on who I am and the things that I did in my past before I was severely injured and became sick, and apparently became sick with cancer. This is my kind of, if I'm terminally ill and I never do this, this is a hint of what other people can do for the environment. So forever I was trying to make moving on, forever I had the ideal that I would make a completely self-sustaining home, that you could run your refrigerator, your air conditioner, everything from a power cord, kind of like, solar energy does, but not using solar energy. I don't know. I swear those things have to be bad for the environment because they stink to high heaven. And that you also wouldn't need windmills and wind turbines. And not only would you do that, but I would say that you would probably, now that we have the electric generators, you could probably use electric generators to back up the electricity if something happened to anything that would run like your refrigerator or stuff like that. But here's the bigger kicker. I don't even want to do that anymore. I don't want to have to mess with that battery because I've blown up battery after battery and I've almost killed myself trying to do this. Trying to regulate and make a battery. I have a better idea. And it's rather than try to run electricity through an entire house, let's think on a smaller level. Let's have a charging system for your phones. That's a charging system that is self-sustainable. A device that only produces electricity when you need it. And it's a small device, and it works like you can plug your power cord into it, and the device is only powering when you turn it on, and it's powering your phone and it's charging it. That device is only doing that. Your light has it. Your lights, your television, your refrigerator, they all come a device that is strong enough and powerful enough when turned on. And I'm not talking about gas powered. I'm not talking about seawater powered. I'm not talking about water powered at all. I know somebody else is might think like me, and if you see my Facebook post, you already know. But a device on the actual item, including your computers, or you can get a device if you don't like it being on your computer, like laptop. And I can understand somebody not being on laptop, but again, a charging bank for your laptop that is self-sustainable. That, like your TV would come with one. It would be part of the price of your TV, would be its own power source built into the TV. I mean, literally eliminate the need for electrical wires within your home, which would also make your home safer. But if the device is only making enough power to power those things, or to charge your phone, and it's not making excess power, which a lot of outlets and stuff supposedly do, but a device that's small enough to put on your TV, but strong enough to power it. So, I mean, people talked about wanting flat screens. I'm talking about, I'm going to try to do it myself. I'm going to try to make a device that can do something like that. I'm going to try to do it myself. I'm going to try to patent it. I know that when you start out talking to other companies that are going up different variations of it for their devices, but that's my whole, instead of trying to power it with a battery or a source like that that's powering the entire home, to power the device and only the device. So that's a if I don't live long enough, that's what do you call it? It's not a clue. What do you call it? Maybe it's just a device. I don't know. What do you call it? I went completely blank. I'm autistic and ADHD. It's late at night. I already took my nighttime medication. I'm kind of sleepy from it. So, there you go. Devices that power themselves. Or I should say, devices and I know I just went blank because I said I shouldn't have done this video right after taking my med. But so like your devices, your washer, your dryer, appliances, that was what I was going to say. Devices and appliances. That you don't have to wire, you don't even have to have a wire to put up a light. You have a light. The light is self-sustainable. It has its own energy source. Literally, you just attach it to the ceiling, whether it be with the screws or something else, and it's lighting itself. Fans with lights, fans. Household lights, like desk lights. Everything has its own device. From your toaster to your coffee pot, all those things be ran on their own power source. A power source that's actually included into the item. So I'm going to So that's one of my things. Devices, appliances, and lights ran with a built-in power source. So I think that's a pretty good idea. I mean, I really think that's a great idea. I want to do it myself, but if somebody else can get it done faster. Things to make life better for us. I mean, right now, we got cell phones. Those sort of became the most convenient thing, Back in 80-something, it seemed almost unfathomable, but at the same time, I knew that people were capable of it because I've seen people actually fly spaceships and be in spaceships, and I had that friend that everybody thought was an actual alien, but, she did have some weird things about her, like, she could touch toilet bowl cleaner without burning her hand. Mine looks like, I don't know how she didn't even turn it red. I just don't know. She didn't use a whole lot of toilet bowl cleaner because mostly she used Pine Sol. But it's like, if she touched it, her hands didn't turn red, mine burned. I'm just saying. Odd things that happened in my life. And I assume it was man-made on Earth. Because most of the ones I've seen were. But she was always the oddball because she was the one that just had a lot of things about her. Okay, she did things that other people couldn't do. It made the whole mystery that maybe you know, make you think maybe she was. But she wasn't any different than us. She was human. Or at least she had a disability, so I'm assuming she's completely human. I just figured it was something on this planet. But, you know, the way I look at it too, you're intelligent enough, you could leave this planet and still survive and be outside the realm of NASA finding you if you're really trying to escape the government because you're really paranoid. High enough IQ could do anything. And for me, my theory was always aliens, if they're coming from outer space, are probably humans too. They just changed. You know, because some people wouldn't know how to sustain their bodies in this environment to keep them looking human. So, moving on to my ideals to everything that I say, that I've done, a lot of it myself, or tried to do myself, that is good for the environment. So, you know, there's other people that go, well, you're not supposed to interfere with nature. It's like, come on, people, if you do it all the time. Just do it now. So, and my thing is, you could do the same with an electric car. Because if you come up with one of those devices, you just make a bit larger one for the electric car. Which I know would get rid of the charging stations and all that stuff, but let's face it, there's still things you need from those places. And a lot of them might mean you know, people to replace your power source, to keep your car running, to do, you know, whatever, or rest your car because it overheats or something. But anyway, so that's all I can think of at this time. I mean, I'm not saying the water car and all this other stuff isn't interesting, but this is my ideal for it, helping the environment. As far as water goes, I'm still thinking about that. I'm not really sure. But, I mean, some people talk about, well, I really like gas stoves. I really think you should just quit using a gas stove. But that's my opinion, because the majority of people that suffer depression, and there's a lot of them these days, it's to do with the gas stoves. Whether it be for heating or for eating, it's had a big impact on the people, and it causes depression. And I just don't think they're good for people, period. I don't think you should have them. I think like government housing and stuff should come with electric stoves, because I don't think you should use anything, especially in such a strongly, it's not perfectly ventilated, but it has less chance of air getting out than other places. I don't think they should have gas stoves. I think that it should all be electric. There's my opinion. There you have it. Okay? So, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I had that was my ideals for saving the environment. Like I said, I'm still thinking about, I'm still in the thought process of how do you get water into your house without having either a well you probably have to have a well either way, but I mean, maybe we should go back to, maybe we should try to go back to the old style well, to having a well. I mean, I do have some thoughts. I mean, if you put a tank, if you have a tank that both has a well underneath it that is connected to an underground well that can soak up water that way, it can have water added to it in either the well or the tank, and have a large tank above ground. So a well and a tank. So the tank would have a water filtration system. That filters out rainwater. That filters a lot of that would filter pollution out of rainwater. Does that make sense? Yeah. So there's one way to get rid of that nuisance. I still think the city could still have waterways and stuff, because they could still help work on them to help make sure that everybody has proper water. But I feel like maybe the more you could get off the pipes, the this, the that, the more the environment, the less environmental impact, and the better off it is. So it's just a thought. It's an ideal. I mean, if you wanted to do that and then add, what is that? That humidity catcher, that thing that uses humidity to catch water. If you wanted to put that all together for a house, that's fine too. I mean, any little thing that could prevent that would reduce the use of the environment would be better. I really think it'd be better. And then on top of it, floods and stuff like that have a real impact on them. So I have, let's see, fixing a system to collect water to prevent flooding. So not only do you prevent flooding, but have it be a well, going to a well. I mean, I understand you don't want, people talk about, well, you don't want water from the road and stuff like that. Well, if we're getting away from, if you can get to a situation where we can viably get away from using cars that have gasoline and they can create their own system, which I know it's going to hurt. People are sitting there screaming. But anyway, I had oil ruts at one time and I still thought these were good ideals. So if you could get to having an electric car that was more of what you wanted, I mean, all these, I think if you got the electric car and you did it correctly and they're talking about having a battery and it blowing up. Well, if you have a system, what I'm talking about, you don't need a battery. The power is created right then and there. You don't need a battery. So if it has its own power source, it doesn't need a battery. You don't have to worry about a battery blowing up. And the power source wouldn't be able to will generate power, but if it's done correctly, it would only generate the power that a car should need. I mean, and if you're wanting to drive a little bit faster, then then what would happen, and I think is the best ideal for this, is that there be a regulator on the system that's used, because if you're going faster, you probably also need more electricity. Therefore, the system that creates the energy, or the item that creates the energy, when you push on the gas, would create more energy from a trigger from what would be the pedal. Which I guess nowadays it would be the movement pedal, not the gas pedal. So that would be my thoughts, is that you put them on cars, that wouldn't be a problem. That oil and stuff, no worries, we wouldn't have it. We wouldn't have to worry about it. That pollution would be gone. So that you could have flooding. So during the flooding, you can have, if you have your filtrations, if you have your water system done correctly, and you can manage it, not only do you have a system to help prevent the flooding, reduce flooding, can't say that it would stop all flooding, but would most likely reduce flooding at least. And not only are you able to reduce flooding, but if you use the right kind of system, you can also send water to areas like that have heavy farms, like the farms that build our food, or even just remote areas that have severe drought within this nation. You can move the water from the area that had heavy rains and had all this water build up to places who were lacking of water. I'm just saying, to me, that's my ideal, is if you get the right system, You no longer have all those problems, and pollution would not be a serious problem. Now, as far as other types of pollutions, filtration system. I mean, in my head, I already have the type of system you can use planned out for it. I just don't have all the ins and outs to put it together at the moment. But what I'm saying, what I keep saying is, under the right circumstances, these things will not cause us harm. That we could actually do better. People talk about plastics. Well, over the years, plastics have been the most reliable for a lot of things, but I'm reduced, reuse. You're just seeing all these things I threw out because I had collected other containers. You know, I have all kinds of reused items. I reuse. My son likes cotton candy. He gets that every now and then. I reuse them for my pens. I mean, well, I know some people say that's poor. As far as my kids' stuff like that goes, for like school, for like a schoolwork or just holding pencils, I don't care. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to in my book. I'm just fine with that. I'm happy with that. So, there was one more that I was gonna, one little suggestion. That's what I was trying to think of. I'm sorry I went blank. Like I said, I took my medicine and my brain's kind of got me sleepy and groggy. So, there's one more I was going to suggest. If I don't do it myself, and don't get a chance to talk to the right people, I have another suggestion for helping the environment. So we use asphalt, right? That's been the greatest thing for driving. Which, of course, a lot of people want flying cars. I don't know how electricity is going to make you have a flying car without some kind of other system. But, I mean, you wanted to make something that looks like a rail and drive a car around on it, that's your business. But until they figure out how to propel them off the ground, which is probably possible, I just haven't I mean, they do have hoverboards, but they still haven't figured out how to hover an entire car. But my suggestion was, and this is just a suggestion, take it for what it's worth, just a suggestion, is to, you know, they've got asphalt patches and they say, well, it's the most reliable. Well, actually, everything underneath that's dirt. I was just thinking pack dirt. If you pack it correctly, it's going to be as tough as concrete. My thought, anyway. I mean, it could turn into mud, I guess, if it wasn't properly packed. But that was just a thought. Of course, somebody had said something about making a form of brick. Not like the hard brick cinder blocks and stuff, but like a brick that's pretty sturdy and reliable, but it's not quite the same thing. It's more natural than those are. So, there you have that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I can think of. Those were the thoughts I had, is if you actually give them give everything its own power source, and get away from the electric lines and stuff. And I mean, everybody's like, well, what are we going to do about the jobs and stuff that you lose? Welcome to being a former handyman who has to get a house and fix all those things. You know. So. And, you know, I'm hoping they figure out better ways to use internet and cable, but for now we're stuck with what we got. But that would be my other thing, is try to figure out how to send all that like a satellite signal, but a smaller device to collect it. So from cable and internet lines, to a form as far as internet goes, you know, at some point, and I know it sounds silly, maybe they'll find a way to make those some form, kind of like a Wi-Fi system, a large Wi-Fi system that puts out a strong signal. And I know people are going to hack all kinds of things. They hack those, the landlines they have now. But I think with the internet, you could probably do you could do like a large Wi-Fi setup, kind of like Wi-Fi. To get on it, you just have to be registered and have the password. Have like a password or a pass key to get into the system to have internet in your home. So that's my other thing, is to have some kind of digital signal similar to Wi-Fi, powerful enough to get internet to a large majority of to surrounding homes. So I'm going to say internet available like a Wi-Fi signal. A Wi-Fi signal from the company. Which, I mean, honestly, considering you got those receiver box, if they had their own energy source and you can get internet like Wi-Fi, maybe if it gives directly to your device, I'm not really sure, and you have up to so many devices, how they would do that. But hey, maybe there's a way to do cable like that. Kind of like, you know, maybe you get a cable box or something like that for every TV you use, and that cable box picks up as like a Wi-Fi receiver. It picks up just that cable service, and you have to have both their receiver for digital confirmation, and you have to go through whatever their process is to get it. So it can be blocked like you block somebody from your Wi-Fi. So, and it can be easily done. You just push up a button. It's done immediately. So those are things that I think about. That's things that go through my mind. If you have a similar thought to that and everything, that's great. If you're not putting it out there for a large amount of people, let's do it. I mean, just say this person said this, and it's like, I already had that thought, you know, but here's my ideal about it. Do it. Don't be afraid, because I know some people are like, oh, well, people think I'm foolish because it sounds so simple. It just seems too simple to be right, or it sounds like it's too simple-minded, or it just doesn't sound right to this person or that person. These things, so, you know, freezing the eye, the seawater works. using air currents, making natural filters, finding filters within the natural environment and recreating them in other areas. God, that's God. Or whatever creator you believe in, that's who did that. I mean, whatever you believe, power of creation, I'm going with God. Anyway, so whoever that creation was made perfect, and that creation can help a lot of people when used correctly. So the answers are out there, and a lot of them are simple. That's why I'm still looking at science. Every time when those scientists talk about global warming and blaming human beings, and I just feel like saying, hey, look, buddy, you could have been using incinerators to get rid of trash and separating out hazardous materials, and you could be throwing this stuff in incinerators. You could have it on belts going into incinerators with air filters already if you really wanted to, and there wouldn't be as many problems, and we wouldn't have landfills that are polluting the earth. There are ways that things could have been done that they didn't do. They chose different patterns. I mean, the most interesting thing to me seems to be there's different things in this world that seems like to me to be conspiracies to destroy human life, and one of those would be a dump. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then when your cars go to a crusher when you're done with them. We use metal in cars. They're talking about, well, people are using these plastics, which I don't really care for, because like I had a broken bumper and didn't know it, and it just kind of fell off and from a tap from somebody else's car. But I don't agree with that, but I do believe that the solutions for that is something else that needs to be like put into process, is finding better materials to build cars. I mean, I'm honestly thinking, and maybe this sounds silly and childish, but you see them making them plastic bricks and stuff. I'm the type of person that wonders, it goes, hey, how strong are those plastic bricks? Could you possibly make car parts out of that plastic? I mean, we're going to use plastic. Is there any way that you can reuse plastic to make car stuff? By making it like those bricks are made, compressing it the way they do those, or whatever. Well, they use compression to make the brick, or a compression mold. But, can you make those? Are they strong enough? Can you make them strong enough so that cars are made from recycled material? It's just a thought. I mean, that one could be a complete fail, but it's a thought. And like I said, it's a thought. So, now getting back to my home front, which I was complaining about. So, I got denied for Social Security yesterday. I had a temper tantrum and a fit because my doctor said I was not disabled. They also have not diagnosed me with cancer, which I have, which is them murdering me, because if I don't get treated for cancer, everybody's like, well, you should go all these doctors. With all the crap that's going down, and the fact that people are hateful to me the way they are, and the fact that I have a big attitude and I use it, and, people don't understand where I'm coming from. They don't understand me, and all kinds of things. And there's a lot of people that don't like, if they're put in a position where they have to take advice or an order from me, they don't want to do it because I'm autistic. I run into problems with them. So, whichever problem it is, whichever solution, whichever issue, at the end of the day, I just don't believe that it doesn't matter where I go, as long as there's enough crap going on, the whole issue is you're going to follow me from place to place. Because I'm in different doctors, I'm in different cities, I've been here, I've been there, I've been everywhere, but unfortunately, originally I wasn't medicated, so that was, anyway, we're not going to go there. They made me take a whole tox panel. I mean, I felt like I was being investigated by the FBI, which I think that lady played an FBI agent once. But anyway, she wasn't. So, there you go. That's how things go for me. As long as I'm here in Texas and anywhere in the South, I have no hope of being properly taken care of. I'm just telling you. Maybe I could find them. And there are some people that treat me well and do me pretty good. But I just don't believe in it. I mean, I have so many issues, and my son's dentist is calling me back saying that his dental work was incomplete, and I'm like, I know it was incomplete. I tried to file against you. Anyway, so tomorrow I got to try to make some phone calls and try to fix some of my chaos, and I think I lost my food stamps. I think I ran out of time. I think, what was it? Friday was my last day, but they didn't send me something until today, so they might have been working on Sunday, but I was gonna get the information I needed tomorrow, and since they're normally so slow, so I'm gonna get the information, turn it in, and then contact them and see if I can get it going, or if they'll make me try for another renewal, because we've been without them for over a month, and like I said, I can't go on my diet at all. And then I haven't had the energy to exercise, so there's just different things going on. But at least I'm not gaining weight. I'm just at a standstill right now, and I'm not losing it anywhere near as fast as I was hoping. And nothing's toning up near as fast as I was hoping, because I haven't been doing anything for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Because I was supposed to lose this complete double chin by the end of summer. That didn't happen. I still have it. I'm working on it. I'm not working on it diligently. But we're going to get back to working on it. Trust me, I am losing weight. If you see my ankles and my calves a while back, there is a huge difference in the size of them. They are getting better. I've seen the weight I've seen personally the most that really made me realize I was losing weight was definitely in the lower leg and calf. That's where I saw a huge difference, and I'm very proud of the overall change in my lower leg. It's still not where I want it to be, but it looks a lot better than what it used to. I mean, it's dramatic to me, but that's the part of my body that was getting most of the workout. So anyway, so if I don't get to feeling better soon, I'm going to do that, and then my medication, I've been off of it, and I'm feeling really, when I don't have my glasses on and I'm off my medication, I feel kind of dizzy, but if I put them on, I'm pretty sure all you see is glare. And I don't like looking through them and only seeing glare, but I've been off some of my medications. Let me explain this. So here's how this works. I go to a local thing that's also charitable, and people can get help, and charity helps them pay for both the visits and all that stuff and everything that they do. It's paid by people in the community. I have Medicaid, so mine is paid by Medicaid. So one of the few places around here, unless you can find a psychiatrist, which probably wouldn't take my Medicaid anyway, that can give you medication. So there's a lot of people that have to go there just to get medication, and quite a few of them are poor. So, and I am too, but I'm saying, anyway, they can give Medicaid. They're either the in-between or so poor that they're living on the streets and they just can't get Medicaid because they can't be tracked well enough to get Medicaid, or don't have an address to use to get Medicaid. Because with joint community property state, a lot of people don't want them using their addresses, because what happens is they can actually claim ownership to everything in your home. You can forfeit everything you own or have to give them half of everything, because they can say joint community property, and because they have an address here, this is also their home, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so on and so on. Maybe not with housing, but with other properties. So that's that. And so I have to go see this person. And until I see that person, I'm off my medication. And as long as I'm off my medication, I'm in just a weird place, to be honest with you. It's just odd. Because I can feel it in my brain, the change. And then somebody said to me, it was kind of interesting, they now think I'm on it too heavily medicated. Maybe I do need to switch meds. Maybe those are medicating me too much because I don't get near as much done on the medication. But part of the reason all this, I've been able to clean what I did to the point my body's still aching, every part of it, is because I was trying to distract myself to keep myself from having outbursts. Because without the medication, I can have an uncontrollable outburst. And it's pretty much just yelling or getting angry and hitting a wall or something like that. Not busting holes through them, but like popping a door or slamming a cabinet door or something like that. And I don't want that. I mean, I do it, but I don't want that. I don't want to lose myself. And then also, like, my foot hurts. When I lost my Medicaid card, my new one. I don't even know if I can go to my doctor tomorrow because I'm not going to have a card for them to make a copy of because my brand new Medicaid card is missing. After I was using it to make phone calls. I lost it. And because I was close to a trash can, I'm worried I threw it out in the garbage. Oh, and so anyway, so I'm gonna try a new doctor and we're gonna see how that goes. I don't have my hopes set high. With everything that's been going on and the crap and the small town abusive mentality of this community that seems to agree with human trafficking and think it's okay as long as it's not theirs, or maybe they even traffic theirs, I don't know. But it seems like they love certain activities that are not ever supposed to be legal, but apparently there's too much they all have put together. Anyway, I'm tired. I think so. I'm hoping you understand that I mean that even though they're not in the criminal activities, they benefit too much from it with power and or control. That's the best way I can put it. Anyway, so then I got a happy moment and I got to show you. I got a purse. I got a free purse. I went to go get clothes from the place that gives out free clothing, which, by the way, I got new clothing. This may be the last time you see this thing. So I got some new clothing. Does it mean all my clothing was replaced? No, it just means I have new clothing. I don't have the same, I won't be wearing all the same worn out clothes. Now, don't get me wrong, the handles have some wear and tear, but when I was a kid, I had a bag like this. It had the arm strap, and I loved it. This is a little bit bigger than what I was looking for. But the only ones I could find like it were, I mean, I'm looking at like $15 or something, would be the $15 to $20 would be the max. That I would let my son tell me he wanted to buy me a purse that I would use, and I'm like, okay, but I couldn't find them for $15 to $20, and I didn't like any of the ones for $15 to $20, so I found this. I don't care. I used to have a very cheap one, and I've had expensive bags like this. But I love this. I love this style. So, for the first time in a long time, I now have a completely packed purse that I want to use. Now, do I wish it had a shoulder strap? Yes. Do I have shoulder straps hiding somewhere in this house? I do. And if I find them, they're going on this purse. May not be perfect because it's being carried like this, but that's okay. Because the ones I had when I was a kid, they were attached somewhere below the zippers. But I'm happy with it. I mean, I've already got stuff in it. I've already got pens, pencils, paper. I even got my tarot cards which I'm trying to learn tarot, which, by the way, let me tell you something about these tarot cards. I got them expecting you to get a handbook with them. I can't read the handbook hardly with my glasses on. I'm struggling with my glasses on because the print's so little. But that's okay. I'm going to have to get something find a book on a book with more on it. But anyway, so not only do I have that, I have power bank. I've got somewhere in here, which I forgot. I think I put it in here. No. Of course, I have my keys. I have some ibuprofen. I have a small first aid. I have like Band-Aids and stuff in there. And anyway, and then I have some toys. Not only do I have toys, I have some little toys for my son, but I also have a little ouchie. I bought a whole bunch of these. No, I was wanting the one that clicks, but I guess because I was looking at multiple ones, I accidentally got this one. So I don't have a clicker on it. Because I like to click pins. So the clicking little ouchie for calming me down and stress sleep would have been perfect. But at the same time, I bought these. I'm not sending them back because I got one. And I got plenty of them. And they were cheaper than the one with the clicker. But I'm going to get the one with clicker too. I'm actually going to get two. One for me, one for my son. Because he seems to like most of the things I like. And they help him. So. But yeah. I got a free purse. And I mean, I was so excited about it. I just started putting everything I needed in it. I'm trying to figure out. Because I'm now worried that I put that little cord somewhere else and not in here. I mean, I got flossers for my son. I got dental picks for me. And I can't find that stinking cord. Let's see if it's in here. And then I'm going to try to find my spare hairbrush to put in here too. Because I always need to brush my hair. That's not supposed to be out there like that. That was supposed to be in the pocket. My son's been through this. So I have to find the little cord to put on here. But yeah, I got everything, including the little cord to go with my power bank that I got in here. And I'd like to get a better power bank. And this thing is huge. I can put a lot of stuff in it. I didn't realize it was so huge. So, put the tarot cards in it so my son doesn't lose them and to get used to carrying them with me because I want to start doing tarot. I used to do it when I was younger. But I want to relearn tarot because it's a way to make quick cash sometimes if you know how to do tarot. But I'm also going to do a couple other things because me being psychic, people play counter tarot and play psychic. And plus doing tarot, sometimes it helps me read people. An actual reading. Like my mind goes into your life and can tell you stuff kind of reading. But anyway, if I could do that real well, I would do it. But I'm starting with tarot. I'm gonna do a few other things. But eventually, I'm going to get a crystal ball, and I'm gonna work at it because I used to be able to do the crystal ball, and I used to use it to make my psychic predictions. And the most interesting thing about the crystal ball for me is somehow I have more of a view. It's like I have a 360, which I can do sometimes without it. Like, if it's something that interests me, and more importantly, I have something that's very rare, and that's an omniscient point of view. And that omniscient point of view, which there are some other psychics that have it, but it's rare. Sometimes you can 360. You can go around the entire environment. You can even walk around a little bit mentally. So you have the ability to move around. And so anyway, so I'm excited about trying to get back into that lifestyle and see if I can do like I used to and make money doing it, because I can't go back to a normal job. I can't physically do it. Can I do readings and stuff? Yeah, I'm thinking about trying to start doing those online, but first I have to re-educate myself because it's been a long time. I've been injured since then. But and my depression was really bad today because, like, I literally went into a moment where I really felt like I just did not belong on the planet and the death would be great. I would have saved it. I don't want to commit suicide or anything like that, but I did have suicidal thoughts. 30 seconds is 30 seconds too much to feel like that. And what caused it was somebody talking to me about my past, some of the abuse, and how I was mistreated by men, and some particular men, and who they were. And it was outside the trafficking. It was just bad relationships. Just things went bad. Things went horribly wrong. And somebody had mentioned some things about that, and 30 seconds is 30 seconds too long. With or without meds, 30 seconds is 30 seconds too long. And if it's longer, it's worse than that. But it was just, I did get depressed, but it also put me back into a place where I used to be okay, that's how you want to be? Okay. I have nothing to say further than that, but that's how I was like, okay. Okay. Am I hurt? Yeah. Am I angry? Completely. Am I gonna let it? Am I gonna let it eat me inside emotionally, and tear me emotionally apart? You know, break me down mentally? No. It's like, okay, all right. That's how it. I was like, don't remind me about him, because I'm not gonna go to that plane of depression, because before, I have another place. Is it bad? No. Is it dangerous for them? Nope. But I do have another place. So, it's just going to give me a whole lot different personality. So, I'm going to get off here. Like I said, next time I have to record, I will be sure to turn off the all that dinging from notifications. So, anyway, take care. Peace, take care. I can't even do my own thing right tonight. Anyway,